What's going on, everyone? Just leaving, getting some work done over at Boise Co-op, which is a little health food spot. And I have a couple hours to get some work in before I go in and see patients this afternoon. And I was just thinking that I don't talk about this enough, but it's a big deal. It took us like 6 weeks to finish this thing. We finished this 12-week implementation process inside of Move Now University. And the reason that we did that is because in the past, like a couple years ago when we first started this whole program of teaching chiropractors how to put corrective exercise, functional movement, and then all the systems that surround it into the chiropractic practice, I thought that just going through and putting all the modules and stuff in there was going to be good enough. And that was me just not knowing that what doctors really wanted and needed was like more of a, here's a super duper handhold process, because as chiropractors, we're all busy. We got a lot on our plate. We got a lot going on. And so if it's not spelled out crystal clear right in front of us week by week by week, here's how you do it and here's how long it takes. A lot of times what happens is we go, oh, sounds good, but we put it on the back burner. So anyway, that's where we switched up a lot of stuff a couple months ago, spent a couple months grinding this thing out, and it's live and active just as of a couple weeks ago. If you want to see what I'm talking about, it's on the demo video that I made 2 weeks ago. All you have to remember with all the weeks and weeks and weeks that I'm spouting out right now is go to demo.movenowu.com, and there is a updated video on there showing the behind the scenes how we go through the doctor training, and I highlight the 12-week implementation process. It's called T-minus 12 weeks. And the reason we call it T-minus 12 weeks is because a while back, Vlad and I were talking. Vlad is our doctor support, does a lot of our online stuff. Vlad and I were talking, we said, okay, how long would it take for someone to implement all of these systems in practice if they did it in a reasonable amount of time each week while they're still practicing full time? And so I reverse engineered the whole thing. We added up all the content. We figured out how much training it would take. We partitioned up the training between front office, exercise staff, whether existing or brand new, and the doctor. So 3 different departments. Figured out how much practical time and video studying time and all of that is going to take. Figured that out week by week by week for each department, and then figured out, like, is this possible over 12 weeks? And we found out, fortunately, it is. Why 12 weeks? I like 12 weeks is a good time frame. 90 days, it's usually a good, reasonable time frame to give you enough time to do something but not draw it out too far. And that's what we built, is we built out this 12-week coaching process pretty much inside of our program, so that this isn't something that you as a chiropractor either have already become a member of or become a member of in the future and ever leave it on the shelf to collect dust. Rather, it's very implementable, if that's a word, implementable. So meaning, what happens is, like, right now is probably the best time to even do this. And here's why right now is the best time to do this. Because at the time of this Facebook Live, whether you hear this live or on a podcast later, the date is the end of October. And at the end of October, if we go 12 weeks out, we're going to be in January. January 2020 is a great time to launch something new in your practice. And it gives you plenty of somewhat downtime over the next upcoming holidays, which is like Thanksgiving and Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever we celebrate over that December time. You got some downtime out of your office to be able to also put in more time into studying and implementation. Another thing that I highly recommend, side note, is that around these holiday times, instead of shutting down the clinic and you taking time off and doing nothing, I would take a couple days off as far as patient care and give your staff a little bit of time off too, but not too much. Have your staff and your team come in casual clothes, and that's practice time, that's study time, that's how do you implement and hit the ground running in 2020 with a enhanced service that you can offer your patients in your community, which is adding the functional movement component to your practice. So just wanted to mention that because I don't feel like I talk about that enough. I should literally be talking about this every day for how much work we put into it. We put a structured 12-week process into place. So here's what that means. Let's say that you watch the demo and you say, wow, this seems really cool. This is exactly what I was looking for in my practice. I love it. It, still maintains everything you do clinically as a chiropractor, follows the philosophy and ideals of chiropractic, that the body is a self-healing, self-regulating organism, not a drug and surgery model, but a self-healing model. But it's things that help your chiropractic adjustment or other chiropractic systems that you already use. Let's say that you're sold on that, okay? And you say, yep, I want it. Awesome. Now, how do I do it? Like, you're at point A, you want to get to point B where it's all implemented. The first step you do is you join the program, you start looking through it. You start looking through it with your team, you assign an accountability manager on your team. If you have an office manager, so if you have a big enough team that you have to have an office manager, great. Office manager is usually a great person to be the accountability manager. If you have a small team, like maybe 2 staff, one staff, you as a doctor plus 1 others, we have clinics that have 2 staff total, and it's workable in that model as well. You don't have to have a big staff. We have clinics that have 12 staff, and it's workable there as well and manageable. So let's say next step, what you do is you then sit down with your accountability manager, you assign your accountability manager, maybe sit down with the entire staff, look at the program just briefly, and you go to a section called Ground Zero. Ground Zero is you sit down with the team and you say, here's how much time it's going to take over a 12-week period once we say we're going to hit go, once we say we're going to implement. You figure out what your launch date wants to be 12 weeks out. Maybe you're not ready to start training next week. Maybe you're ready to start training in 2 weeks from now. So you set the date of when you're going to start training. You look at a calendar, you map it out 12 weeks from that point. That's going to be your launch date. And then you have very specific things to do each week. All departments, front office, exercise team, and doctor. And everyone sticks to it. And you sit down for this Ground Zero masterminding section. You print out a booklet that we designed. It's really called a Success Launch Manual. And everyone on the team has a Success Launch Manual, hard to say, and everyone maps it out. So let's say you're Jane, the front office gal, okay? So Jane, you're gonna have this Success Launch Manual printed out, so is the doctor, so is the exercise team. You're gonna look at it week by week and you're gonna say, front office, how many hours do I need to allocate and make sure that I'm using for this implementation process over the next 12 weeks so I stay on track week by week by week? And you'll see, okay, week 1 is like 3 hours, and then week 2 is maybe 2 hours, and then maybe it jumps up to 4 hours, and it goes up and down and hovers around there for front office over a 12-week process. You then commit from a Saturday to Sunday, so Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, like every day of the week, what days are slower in the office, what days you have an hour or 2 that you can set aside to do this, and you write in those times in your Success Launch Manual in the Ground Zero section. So everyone does this as a team. Everyone has their own manual. They customize the times. They clear it with the doctor. They clear it with the office manager. They make sure it's going to work. Everyone's got that. And then now what happens is you wait. You wait until you are going to have, so you wait until you're going to have the launch date, which is week 1. When week 1 starts, that's when everyone's going to follow this to the T for the next 12 weeks because you have your actual launch date. So there's a start date and a launch date. So you have a start date, which is the week 1, launch date. Hopefully I said that right. Okay, I can't play this back, so let's just assume I said that right. I'll just say it again. You have a start date, which is the beginning of week 1. You have a launch date, which is after the completion of week 12. You stick to both of those dates and everything in between. Once you hit go, and there's actually a way inside of a portal where you put the staff name and email in, everyone on the team, staff email, and you go through this button, you say, start my Success Launch now, boom. You hit that, it triggers a email automation to the entire team. So everyone's getting the same email on the same week. It's 2 emails a week, and it prompts you to go into each week, and it highlights what's going to be covered in each week while you follow along in the Success Launch Manual. So this is a very detailed process that we put together. It's simple, okay? Every little step is simple, but it leaves no stone unturned. And that goes back to the extreme dichotomy, which is a plan has to be simple, okay? But it also has to be detailed and methodical, because if it's too simple, it's not going to work, and it's going to leave a lot of problems on the table that are not being addressed. This addresses all the problems in a simple, methodical manner. So again, that is the 12-week success launch. Check out the demo so you can see what I'm talking about. It's pretty cool. Like each week for week 1 through 12, there's a 8 to 15 minute video that gives an overview of what's going to be covered that week, speaks to all 3 departments, and then you have multiple pages in a success launch manual that you follow along with, and you map out your individual training for each one of the team, and then also you do some group training as well, just briefly. I just got a picture yesterday from Dr. Ryan Goodman out in Florida. He sent me a picture of him and his team training during lunch, and he said, look, we're doing our training. And Brandy, our office manager, who's on this right now, her and I went on there and said, awesome, great, good job getting after it. That's what multiple doctors who are now using the success launch process, who are newer to the program, are doing. And then we're also in the process of reaching out to past doctors that maybe have only implemented portions of it and encouraging them to pick up where they left off going through this process. And all of our new doctors, that's how you're going to start from square one. So right now, end of October, this is the perfect time to jump into this so you can hit 2020 hard and ready to go and really have an awesome program, even more awesome than what you're doing right now for your patients in your community. Watch the demo.movenowyou.com. Ask us any questions if you have questions. You can schedule a call with us. We can jump on a screen share and really just try to work through possible hurdles that you have, and either one of two things happen. Either at the end of that, we come to the conclusion of, right now how you're set up or what your needs are or whatever, this is not going to be right for you. So keep following our stuff, get tons of value out of it, but probably not going to be joining this anytime soon. Totally fine. Or on the flip side, we talk with you, we find out it's a perfect fit. Here's how we work through some of your perceived objections, which are actually very workable, and then you get rolling. So I would say do not wait, do it. We also have multiple payment options as well, and that we even have an option that we opened up where you can space it out over a year, so you can make just little tiny payments every month. And we're doing that so that cost is not a prohibitory factor at joining this whole program. So anyone can join if you have the desire to do it, and depending on how long you want to study this before you hit go and launch, you can do it for a couple weeks, you can do it for a couple months, but I would say if you're on the fence and if you've been following this and you want to do this eventually, do it. So do it now. Demo.movenowyou.com. Let us know if you have any questions. Over and out. Talk to you soon.